Hey everybody, Invisiblekatana here doing a spoiler review for Durarara 2, Season 2, I guess. And to start things off with Mikado, I think basically for my review for this season as well as my review for the first season of this series, Mikado was like the big thing for me because he changed so much. He went from, the character from the first series where it's like, oh, I started this gang and it became something much bigger than I ever expected it to be. And in the beginning of this series, it becomes something much worse. Like, he knew that the dollars were like this big deal and that they were a gang in the first series, but it gets a lot worse. Like, they really become, much more prevalent as an actual bad gang than they were in the first series. So it kicks off in the first season, and then we get him joining the Blue Squares. And this whole season, I was just trying to figure out what in the world is he going to do with this. Like, it just seemed really bad. Like, he seemed like he snapped, like he lost his freaking mind. He does the crazy deal with Oba and stuff from the first season. So we have these moments where it's like he's stabbing dudes in the hand, and then he's like, great, that's done. And then he's like bandaging people up. And then this season we have him going through, he's using the blue squares to beat up the gangs and stuff, but he's also using them to, kind of do good things as well. And I think I said this in my normal review, it's the wrong thing for the right reason, but in this situation, it's almost not even the wrong thing because it's other gangs. Like, it's a very vigilante sort of deal because he shouldn't beat up people because it's illegal, but these are also a bunch of douchebag gang members who become, a part of the dollars, and it's like, we're the dollars, we're, this badass gang. So at the same time, like, it's still not really that bad, but it's just not him. Like, it seems so different from, who he is, so that just makes it, really scary and crazy. But I love the way all that stuff played out. And then Masaomi finally comes back in this season to actually to Ikebukuro, and he actually ends up running into him, or he doesn't run into him, but he actually sees Mikado, and he's crying. It's during the scene where he's kind of freaked out and stuff, like, how in the world can I fix this? Because he thinks there's pretty much nothing that he can do. Like, things are just gonna suck really, really hard. And Masaomi's like, okay, things have been screwed up. He found out the stuff with Izaya and him messing with Mikado, like, hey, you should stay away from the dollars, and kind of manipulating him, sort of, reverse psychology style, to get more involved with everything. And I just loved how all that stuff played out. Like, he comes back and it's like, this really sucks. My friend is being manipulated, and it's Izaya, or, it's this new kid. And I think he only ran into him for, like, I don't think he even actually met Aoba. He just heard his name, so it was like, he thought he was kind of doing the same thing as Izaya. And it's like, what, I need to get the yellow scarves back together so that I can take down the blue squares again, and, help my buddy get out of the blue squares because he's being manipulated, and, kind of save him, pretty much. And then he finds out that Mikado is actually a part of the blue squares. He's the one, in the shark mask, which was a crazy scene when that happened too, when the crazy assassin guy was fighting him. I didn't know, I thought he was going to be like really messed up, especially because he slammed Mikado's face into the wall with the goggles on. I was really freaked out. I was like, is he going to be like blind or something? Because I was really worried that he was going to be like insanely messed up. And then Masaomi comes in and the guy's about to beat him up. And it was just crazy, and Mikado has to, like, set the dude on fire. And it was just a crazy moment, and they talk to each other, and Masaomi's just, like, completely destroyed because he had no clue that Mikado was the one running everything. And then that's when he runs into Oba, and it's like, he's not being manipulated, he's leading, the blue squares, but he doesn't understand why. Like, no one really knows why he's doing it, except for technically Kadota, because they talked about it, and he just kind of vaguely explained, like, we should, get rid of the bad seeds in the dollars. Like, you're a really good example, but, I think it's pretty cool that whoever's taking out all these bad seeds in the dollars, is doing what they're doing, because I think we should all be good guys. So no one really knew exactly what he's doing, and at this point, when it ends, I'm still not 100% sure, because despite everything they do, he sends, the guys to go after one of Masaomi's friends, like basically a second in command. So he did that on purpose, and then they have the scene with Masaomi, and he's like, "Oh, it's Mikado," and he's like, "Oh, well, he must not know that you're the one, leading the yellow scarves again, because he wouldn't have done that otherwise, because you guys are good friends. Maybe he just thinks it's like last time and it's really bad." He's like, "No, he probably knows it's me. I'm pretty sure, but it's basically it's like they're just gonna fight to solve their issue, and I just don't know how that's gonna play out, and." I don't know if either of them are really doing the right thing. Like Masaomi, I feel like he's really been painted into a corner, especially with the stuff that Mikado did, because he was the one who kind of set off, kind of them fighting again, because he sent his people after the guy, and Masaomi kind of knew he was going to do that, and so he had his guys, back up his buddy. But Mikado's just doing all this stuff, and I think my favorite scene probably, and this was the one that kind of confirms how crazy he's gotten, was the scene where Celti actually talks to him, and it's like, you do know the difference between, you know, reality and fantasy, right? Like, this isn't just some silly game. And he kind of basically confirms pretty much what you think from the first season. Like, I don't know what's happening. I think he's kind of losing it a little bit. And basically he is, because he's like, I need to do this. I'm basically going to destroy everything so that it can pretty much start over is kind of how he's trying to do it. So that way Masaomi can come back, and Henri and all, all three of us can be friends like we were before. And Masaomi has kind of the same idea where it's like, I need to fix this city so that we can be friends again. But now they're clashing with their ideals, and it's just crazy. I don't know. I just don't know where that's going to go, but I'm excited to see how that plays out. But it was just really crazy, and Mikado seems like he's just lost his mind a little bit with everything that he's done. Like, some stuff seemed fairly simple, and then, it just gets worse and worse as it goes on, and it's like he's getting involved with Yaokusu a little bit. He meets the redhead guy, and it's just a bunch of little stuff, and it's like, man, I don't really know what to expect 100% of this, but I'm very excited for that. Of course, with all the Awakusu stuff, we have, the little girl and the boss's daughter, and we get her backstory and stuff like that, which I believe was probably in the last season. But, we get her backstory, we get the red-haired guy's backstory, and how he was actually sent to beat up Henri's father, or actually to kill him, basically, and make it kind of seem like an accident. And he was actually attacked by Henri's mother, and as well as Saika, I guess, that combo. And she slashes him in the eye, and he, like, rips his eye out, which is just a crazy moment in the show. Which, like I said, I didn't want to say that in my review, or my spoilers for the last season, because I seriously couldn't remember when some of this stuff happened, because I watched all the episodes kind of in a row. So a lot of stuff blended together, but I'm pretty sure it was this season where he got kind of his backstory explained. And it was just nuts. I was like, holy crap. Like, he ripped his eye out and stuff to, get Saika, like, out of his mind. And he fell, for Henri's mother. And, he finds out, like, oh, she's married and stuff like that. And it was kind of interesting, because for us, it was our first time seeing them together. But he was just like, saying, like, how he loved her and stuff ever since he saw her. And she's like, oh, I'm married. And he's like, oh, well, basically, they're like, that kind of sucks. And it's like, oh, once he finds out what her name is, it's like, wow, you just saved your husband's life. And then he finds out the stuff from his boss about how he basically drugged the dad, like, he gave him drugs, really. And that's kind of what made him lose his mind. And that's how they both died, because he was trying to kill Henri, and her mother had to take over as Saika and kill him. And then maybe that was too much, because there was still no extra explanation as to why that happened. Because I was still wondering, because initially, in the first series, it's like, well, maybe she just lost her mind or something like that, or she couldn't handle it, or maybe it was Saika itself. But Saika doesn't seem to want to kill the host, because it's almost like it's basically a supernatural virus that continues on. So I'm still kind of curious, like, why her mother killed herself. And maybe it was because she thought that it would lead to her killing Henri, like, she wouldn't have enough control, because she does mention, like, I've killed people before, so maybe that was the thing, like, I want this, I need to kill myself, because I finally saved my daughter, but then I might just end up killing her later, so maybe that's why she killed herself. But, getting that story, and how, we find out that the guy with the red hair is basically, his old group is like, you killed our boss, and that's why he got kicked out and stuff. And it's like, he was always saying like, I didn't kill the boss, that wasn't me, I didn't do that. But we see we see what actually happens, and he let it, he let it go down, and he let that guy stab the boss because of the feelings that he had, and how basically he, ruined his family, and kind of, not only did he kill the woman that he had interest in, but he also almost got this little girl killed for no good reason. So it was interesting. He kind of gave a bit of backstory, and it wasn't just Henri's dad like in the first series. It's like, oh, he wasn't just tired of work and stuff. He was like, out of his mind because he was a drug addict, and he needed his fix, and he was kind of losing it. So it gave a little extra context to that, which I actually enjoyed. And we see their relationship a little bit. Like, we get, like, the introduction is like, hey, you really used to help me out when I was younger and stuff. But we don't see too much of it. But I enjoyed, their relationship. And I was like, oh, they have a bit of a connection. And I like the guy. He's probably my new favorite character. Or my favorite new character, I should say. The guy with red hair. Because I think they gave him probably more time than any of the other new characters. Except for maybe Shizuo's brother. Maybe Aoba probably has like number 1. But I think the red hair guy is like number 2. And then maybe the twins are number 3. But I like that guy. I think he's actually a cool character. And I like the way that he kind of played with Mikado. Because it's like, alright, this is the guy who hangs out with Henri. She means a lot to me as a person. So I need to figure out who the F this kid is. What is he doing? And all the gang war stuff going on. And it's like, alright, so he's checking him out, and he's testing him. Like, alright, if he's gonna be hanging out with her, there's not much I can do to say don't hang out with him, of course. But I can at least figure out who this kid is, where his mindset is, and where he's coming from. And I love what he did, where it's like, he tests how he feels about Henri and stuff like that. And I was like, I like that, because of course he's not gonna do anything to ever hurt her, but he needed to know how Mikado felt. And it's like, she has nothing to do with this. And it's like, okay, so he clearly cares a lot about her. So he doesn't want it. Just from that, he could probably tell, like, he doesn't want her wrapped up in all this. So I like that he, kind of went that route. Like, oh, let me see what he thinks about Henri and how he feels about her. So that I thought was pretty cool. He's clearly a good fighter. I mean, even with one eye, he just, like, destroys people. He's got, like, almost a spider sense. And I'm pretty sure this is in the first season. But when the guy, like the kid, comes up to him on the bridge, like every time he fights people, he just flips them with like one arm. Like he just grabs them and is like, flip, they're upside down. And he fought like a couple of people, and you did the same thing. Like he would just dodge and do one flip with one hand, and they're on the ground. I'm like, this guy's like an insane fighter, and it makes no sense. It's just like, boom, they're on the ground, and he's done fighting. And it's just kind of funny watching that. But I like his character a lot. I thought he was pretty cool. And his kind of connection with the little girl who tried to kill Shizuo, who still wants to kill him even though she found out that he's a good guy, and the stuff with Izaya and how all that stuff played out. It's kind of funny to see her as this little girl character where it's like, I still want to kill him, and I thought that was so weird that she still wants to kill him even though she's heard, like, hey, he's actually an okay person. So I thought that was kind of funny. But his connection with her actually leads to the gym, where we get 2 new characters, which is the martial arts instructor who actually teaches the twins how to fight. And we also get his younger sister, who apparently was on a much better track until she met Izaya. So, of course, he tries to beat up Izaya and stuff like that. And we find out a little bit later that she's working for Izaya along with the guy who worked, the male Russian dude, because I really don't remember either of the Russians' names. But, she's working with Izai along with him, as well as whatever the other girl's name. So many names I don't remember. But the other girl who is in control of Saika. So I love that. And plus the zombie group, the zombie motorcycle gang, because he's kind of upped his ante. Like, I got stabbed. I kind of need a gang myself to kind of, help me out here. So I thought that was actually kind of awesome that he brought all those people together. And, it makes me wonder, like, for her, is it just for money? Is it something else? He even had the girl who tried to kill him in the hospital. She actually came back to work for him. So it's just really crazy. It was like, man, he got all these people together, some of which, he did, like, the stuff where it's like, oh, you want to die, so I'll help you die, but he just knocked him out, I assume. So, it was just weird. Like, he got all these people together. And then even at the end of the season, huge twist on that, because we have this woman who's like the secretary or whatever of the company. And it's like, okay, so she's this woman and she's the one who kind of goes out to figure out a bit of extra information. She's clearly a good fighter, and we see how all that stuff plays out when Seiji's sister kind of gets busted. So it's like, alright, so she's like the right hand woman to the head of the company, and she's super badass as well. She's like, the secretary, but she's also like this secret, assassin type character as well. So it's like, alright, that's pretty cool. And then we have the ending scene, which I thought, first off, it started off really funny because, Izaya finally gets the information that he needs. He calls the phone, and, the guy picks up, and I'm like, when he's like, oh, is this not the same person that I talked to before? When he said that, I was like, this guy does look different. Like, that's where he doesn't look like the same guy. It didn't look like the same hairstyle, and he looked older to me, too. So I was like, that is a little weird. That doesn't look like the same person to me. And he's talking, he's like, you need to take a nap or whatever. He's like, what are you talking about? And he just gets hit by a car. I was like, holy crap. Like, that's probably the furthest he ever went. And it was super awesome. And then he calls the woman, and it's like, you're the one who's in control of all this stuff. And I swear to God, I don't even remember what group she's in control of, because there's so many at this point, because I want to say it's the brand new group, but she was also involved with the one guy who's with Celti's head and all that stuff. So I forgot what the name of their group is. So she's involved with that. So I guess she's like the leader of that. And then we still have this third group, the Misu, whatever. I just say Misu because I know it's like, I don't know, maybe it's Miyakusu or something like that. But I don't know. I think I'm just putting Mi and Awakusu together. I'm pretty sure I am. But we have them. So they have like that random leader guy who's really crazy, and the weird stuff that happened with Izaya. And I guess she's the girl who is working with the other pharmaceutical company, but she's in control of the new group that Izaya and his buddy started a long time ago. And then, for whatever reason, they took over, and it's just weird. Like, he doesn't know what's going on with that. The other guy didn't know what was going on with that, and that's probably why she was investigating them, was trying to figure out what was going on and what they knew about her. But it was just crazy. Like, she comes in, and then it's like, yeah, I'm actually in charge, but I'm in charge of, a lot of things, and we should probably talk. And then the Russian dude jumps up in the air with the red eyes, and then we have another person in complete control of Saika. So that I loved, because I was like, I didn't see that coming. So we have Henri, we have the other girl who I thought it was really cool when she came back. I was like, oh, that's the girl, because I know all the characters, obviously, because everybody looks so different in this one. But I was like, oh, I saw her. I was like, oh, that's the girl that controls Saika. And then we have this new woman who seems fairly capable on her own without using Saika's abilities. So I'm not sure how that's going to play out. But Izai seems to be in a bit of a precarious situation in that last scene. And I loved it. I was like, holy crap, they added a new person in control of Saika. She's also manipulating, I would assume, the pharmaceutical company. But she seems, she's working for them, but manipulating them at the same time. I would love to see the three of these characters get together and see what happens when these three women come together who control Saika. Like, I would assume Henri would be in control because she actually has the blade. And also, this was in the last season, but finding out that Shinra's dad was like the previous owner, I thought was really, really crazy. But they don't go into a lot of detail with that. And he's the only male character that they kind of talk about, like, oh, he was a former, owner of Saika. I don't know if he actually used Saika. I don't think that was the case. I think he literally owned the blade. But I thought that was interesting, because it's all female characters that actually control Saika, and everyone who's, every male character has just been controlled. So I thought that was actually really cool that when they revealed her, I was like, oh, they added another, female character to control Saika. So I would just love to see the three of them come together, which I'm sure we will, because I would assume Henri is the only one that could take control. But Izai made a great point, which was obvious as soon as the girl showed up. She wasn't under Saika's control anymore. It was like she was using the power. Like, once they showed that, I was like, she's not under Henri's control anymore, which was crazy to me. And I loved that idea. I was like, she's already broken free, and like he says, you broke free twice. That makes you fairly freaking tough. So I love that idea. I don't know with all the, basically this one was like a new character. She was in 3 scenes total. She was in the scene at the coffee shop where she talked to, I want to say it was the actual Conra. I'm trying to remember what Izai's name was on the thing. I'm pretty sure it was Conra. So, she talks to him, and then she's in the scene with Seiji's sister, and then she's in that final scene, and those are like the 3 scenes she's in. She may have been in another scene I can't think of, but I'm pretty sure those were literally the 3 scenes that she was in, and that was like in the span of about 4 or 5 episodes, I think. I don't think she was even in a lot of the, it wasn't even a big span of time. It was like, there's this new character, she seems like she's just a secretary, but then we see her do like kind of the bodyguard deal, and then we see her use, she's controlling Saika. So she broke free as well. And there's just a lot going on there. So I don't know how that's going to play out, but it has me super excited. There's basically a psycho, war going on. And Henri's been using her powers lately in this season and the last, which I thought was pretty cool. And we'll just see how that plays out when the 3 of them have to come to a head. Plus, the Blue Squares, Yellow Scarves Dollar War. They have Kusu and, the Misu group. I just don't remember the name of that group. But there are just so many wars happening on different levels within the city. It's really freaking nuts. And then we have, of course, the stuff with Kadota, who gets hit by the car. And I'm hoping that he survives, of course. And just how all that stuff played out. And Mikado, the scene, like, during the asshole episode, Mikado is saying, like, I'm kind of glad that he's there. And it's ultimately because he doesn't want to confront Kadota about beating up these random members of the Dollars, because they aren't supposed to have rules and all this other stuff. But it's just been a crazy effing season, and I can't wait to see what happens in this next one. But like, there's so much stuff going on, and I covered all the big stuff really. Like, one thing that they had, like the Seiji episode, I wish I could remember the girls' names, but when his girlfriend was like, yeah, I have a bunch of bugs in everybody's houses, that blew my mind. And that was a great moment of just, here's everything that happened. So I love that. But this is just a phenomenal freaking season, and I can't wait to see the last one. Of course, I want to know what you guys thought about it, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. If you haven't seen the final season yet, I would love to know your expectations or speculations. Even if you have, what were your speculations for what was going to happen based on this one, and just favorite things about it in general. And like I said, of course, all your comments in the comment section below, and thanks for watching.